Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind, your podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year word ride and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast-track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Good evening, everyone. This is Niji Adewale, host of the Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group, and I am excited to be joining you here on the last Wednesday of the month. Next week, Wednesday is actually going to be the 1st of May, so this is exciting. And last week, we went through a lot of the landlord things that could pop up for long-term rentals, but we didn't have time for the true open session. And so this week going to be an actual open session. So feel free to throw any questions in the chat or to join via the join link down below. But I'll wait and pause for you to join. We're truly going to keep this one open.
What's going on, Nee?
Not much, Jay. How you feeling, man?
I'm doing all right.
That is good. What's on your mind? You got anything new pop? I know we just talked like a little while ago, but you got anything new popping up?
Nah, man. Alexandra's actually going to join the call here in a bit. She's actually finishing up some food in the kitchen, but I guess, I feel like I always have so many things top of mind until we get on these calls, right? I got to start writing stuff down so I can have it ready to go. Oh, I know what I got top of mind. I want to talk to you. I think today might be a good chance for me to talk to you about like estate planning. You know, I was speaking with a lawyer earlier today, right? And I was getting one of my properties quit claim and it moved into an LLC. She has a flat fee of $850 for that. So we got roped up doing that. And I was like, man, I forgot. I just had a baby. Let's figure out how to get a will and testament, some things put in place. So I got her back on the phone and I asked her about that. And she was offering to do some estate planning for like $2,500. You know, I've seen on the internet I could get it done a lot cheaper, but I'm like, maybe building that relationship with the lawyer would be vital. And then I was like, well, does this include a trust? And she was like, well, let's do the trust. It'll be $6,000. And I'm like, should I go ahead and do that now to go ahead and start the relationship, or should I wait till I get a couple more properties in the portfolio, or should I just, so I'm trying to going back and forth with that, but I'm thinking I'm just going to do the quit claim deed and just take care of that right now and then worry about some of the other stuff a little down the road.
Honestly, like I'm with you. It's one where I think the trust is something that's going to come into play down the road. I haven't done a trust in full transparency. It's something I've thought about, but I haven't gotten into it yet. All of them is the LLCs to kind of structure it that way. And for the will, I think you should absolutely do a will. I just don't know that you need to pay $2,500 for it. What I've personally been doing for the will is, and this is back in 2020 when everything kind of went down, this company started becoming very popular, trustingwill.com.
Okay.
Have you heard of that company?
No, I haven't heard of that company, but I looked up LegalZoom earlier today, but I would definitely check out Trust and Will.
Yeah, LegalZoom, you still got a bit that you have to do. Trust and Will really guide you through the whole process. And they have lawyers that look over the documents, and you fill out all this information online and you have to get it notarized. It takes a good amount of time, but it's amazing. And they got support people that you can call. I'm trying to think how much I actually paid for Trust and Will. I don't remember exactly how much, but it was definitely a lot less than $2,500. And they allow you to go on and update it. So I did this back in 2020, right? And I've since updated after I got married. And I added in other pieces and shifted some things around. And then you just have to get it notarized again, and they keep a file uploaded for you as well. And so God forbid anything happens, you have a digital file that's with them that they keep track of. And then you also have your physical file, and it's pretty cool. And it's easy to update once you have it going.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that so I can get that worked up. My little one's going crazy down here.
Hey, come on now. She's like, hey, there's knowledge out here. She's trying to learn too.
I'm gonna get all your money, Dad. That's what she's saying about.
On a complete side note, thank you for the tip on the price labs. I literally did that maybe about an hour ago. So there should be like a referral. I don't know how it works. It should be coming to you, however that works.
When I found it, it was like saying I already had $10 from a referral in there. I'm like, I don't even know how I have this. Maybe because I use AJ's referral code, but yeah. Definitely, man. I'm glad that you got that hooked up, and I hope it works out well for you.
Yeah, and for everybody else that's kind of joining, I was one of the people that was using Beyond Pricing for the longest time. And a lot of people have talked about price labs before, but I was just using, Beyond Pricing. So I started with, I kept with it. And long story short, Justin here was like, hey, man, you should really look into it. You get a couple of units. It may save you money. And so I looked into it. And last month, we paid $850 with Beyond Pricing because it's taking 1% of whatever. And when you equate that to what you can do with Price Labs, because they give you discounts and it's a set pricing, I think it's like a $600 saving per month. So that's an easy decision. And that comes back to the conversation we had a few weeks ago about just optimizing your portfolio, whatever that means for you, right? It's not always about buying the next property. That's important. But it's also about optimizing what you have and trying to tighten up your system so you're making the most out of it.
Yeah, man, 100%. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad that worked out for you. And now that you're getting those savings, that's going to go straight to the bottom line because you're already incurring those costs anyway.
Oh, yeah. It's like 7,200 a month ASAP. And Desmond's probably joining because he heard about these savings. Desmond, how you doing, man?
I was like, man, let me get in here real quick. Talking about
He
saving
said,
money.
let me talk about these dollars. Hold
Oh, wait a second. Get off the sidelines.
No, Justin converted me, man, from Beyond Pricing to Price Labs. Have you looked into Price Labs?
I use Price Labs.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I did.
Dang, he didn't say that. He didn't say nothing, Justin. Desmond's been...
Hey, think you got it on here. Yeah, think you think.
Well, no, man. I feel like you have your system so well defined. I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna like try to get him out of his way. Because like with the buildium thing, I wanted to do that, but it's so sophisticated. I'm like, man, for my little like 3-4 tenants, I'm gonna keep it simple. But
Hey, that's here.
And am I saying this right? It's the Naja in you saying I got to save that money?
That's it. That is it. When I did the quick math, I was like, oh, there, 6 times 12 is 72. That's 7,200 a year. Yeah, we got to save that. That's a trip. That's a whole trip, man.
Yep.
No. But Desmond, what you got going on? Anything new in your world? Hey, Desmond, can you hear me?
You're looking like Lebon over here.
I know I was lagging, so I switched my Wi-Fi because I was on like Xfinity Wi-Fi, not my home. So I should be like live and in person now. I think before I was like a second slow. So
Yep. Anything new in your world, man?
man, really, I think kind of to your point of what you were saying right before I hopped on, just trying to keep things like they are and like optimize. But I can really easily get caught up in the like, man, like what's the next thing? Like next. Like, all right, like B&B's done. What's the next B&B we're working on? All right. So I'm trying to slow down a bit from that mindset and just take a step back. And like relax for a little bit too. Cause like this last one, man, I'm like, get some staff members. He's doing it right. No, so yeah, I think, but after the last one, I realized like, it's a marathon, so I don't want to just rush into the next thing. Yeah, so I'd file an extension for my taxes. I need to still do those. And this year more than ever, finesse is not the right word, strategizing around how I can reduce my tax bill. Especially given that booking doesn't remit the taxes on your behalf. Okay. So that's a piece that's really I'm going to have to like take that and like suck it up, but it's going to hurt me, I think. I have not at all been good about putting away like the piece for the taxes that I should have been putting up. So that'll be interesting. Excuse me. But I'm hoping that my expenses will be able to kind of offset some of that so that I'm not just giving all of my money away to tax man. But
and when you think about it, go ahead.
So like you're going to cause segregation for them real quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but even before that, like just what you said, you put a lot of expenses into getting a couple of these units up and running last year. And so that's a major write-off. And then you bought the house. Like you cannot forget about that piece. Like that's going to give you depreciation over time, right? And then to Justin's point, now that we have the other house, quote unquote, however you want to do this, right? But one of those houses could go into an LLC now. Like you should definitely think about that piece. And if you move that to an LLC as a pure investment property now you can rent this thing out. Now you can do the cost segregation and save a heck of a lot of money on the expenses for taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I want. I want and need to get buttoned up, I think, this year. Like figure out the LLC play like all up first for the properties, but also just in like the small money that I'm making. And I was even talking to AJ. I hope he hops on here. I was talking to him earlier about Turo, and he'd set my mind spinning about that again because he's doing it. And he posted an Instagram earlier where his car is rented out for like past 4 months, just like nonstop. So he's killing it. Yeah. So it's something I want to figure out. The insurance piece right now is weird because like I'm living in this first property, but like the second property, I'm also like technically living in too because like it was an owner occupied. So the insurance there is also under the assumption that I'm living there, but it's like kind of weird because like this is my address. So I don't know. I need to like kind of figure that out. I'm kind of scared that it's like not right now. And then if something does happen, they'll like, hey, like what's going on here? So
Just switch it.
You,
gotta,
you can do it. You can switch that. You can switch that piece, and you just got to designate one. And there's such things as life events. Now that you've closed on both properties, it could be, hey, there was a life event, and so I moved over here. You just got to make one of them your personal and one of your other, and kind of just go from there. Just like Justin said, I'd switch it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I should switch it, and I guess it's just I'm scared to like tip the scales on the mortgage piece. I guess because like if I change the insurance policy to a landlord policy, and then that alerts the mortgage company, they're gonna be like, wait a second. So I would need to have some sort of like explanation to them, I guess, if they did come to me and it's like, what's going on here? And I'd be like, hey, like carpet smelled bad back. I don't know what I would say because that seems so silly. I moved across the street and then a month later I moved back. But I mean, I've heard of crazier things happening. So we'll see. I should just.
This is true. Robbie, how you doing, man?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not much. Are you calling in live from the B&B today?
No. One of these days I will be. But I was wondering, I wanted to ask you guys about how you work with your cleaners, because I've heard recently a couple of tips about, incentivizing the cleaners to, with no mistakes, you give them extra money or whatever. And also with me probably moving there in September, I was thinking, I don't want to go full in on the cleaning all the time, but I'm thinking like, maybe if I set up a way for them to do like the deep cleaning and I just do like make the beds or, take the trash out or whatever, like the easier stuff at a discount. I don't know if cleaners would even agree to that, but just wondering if you guys have any tips for like outside of just the standard model for cleaning and that type of thing.
Justin, you got anything here, man?
Like, if you find a good solid cleaner, I think you just don't pay them anything, but I think you pay them like whatever, kind of what they ask, as long as it's reasonable, because you can build that relationship. And as you continue to scale, you can try to negotiate that price piece, but up front, you want to make sure that your employees feel, and I call them your employees, your contracts. You want to make sure that they feel like they're valued, right? You want to make sure that you kind of in a partnership in this thing together in a sense. And like, you want to try to encourage their business to grow. You want to try to make sure your business is growing too. That way, if you do say move out of state, and like you got to rely on them to do a little more than clean, it's like they feel more comfortable with doing that because you guys have established that relationship early up front. So I definitely on the cost saving piece, but like as long as you can pass that cost on to your customers and it doesn't hurt you too much, I say you just try to keep that at a good rate.
Well, let me ask you this. What would you consider a good cleaner? Because obviously everyone is, everyone's human. Mistakes are going to be made. But like, is there, I feel like my cleaners are solid. They share it. They get the job done. But there's definitely mistakes, that they make here and there. Maybe like, I don't know, once a month. I don't know. I'm like not really tracking it. But it's hard to say, like, I'm not expecting perfection at anybody, obviously, but it's enough.
I found that my cleaner, like, there's just the relationship piece. Like when I got her there and we walked up. Do you have like a cleaner working right now?
No, not right now. No, I don't want her to hear that.
No, like when I found my cleaner, like we walked the property, I could tell by like how she was engaged and how she was putting things out, right? So I think it was gonna be really good, and just like the communication up front, right? If somebody's communicating a lot, to me that normally sounds like a good teammate or somebody who's gonna be able to work well with you, because it all falls back on communication, right? Like you have an issue, you let them know what the issue was, and she's able to communicate with like, oh, sorry about that, I'll get it taken care of the next time, and then like, follow up, like, do you have a checklist? Are you having them send pictures? Like, can you verify like these issues that the guests may be saying that the cleaners are having? Because you don't want to become a back and forth thing, right? If you have you have documentation, then you have some things to go back on. Like you said, you don't even know how many times they've messed up. You just know they've messed up in the past.
Just here and there,
and you can kind of keep track of that and keep tabs.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, I'm happy with them overall. It's just that, like, I don't live there, so I rely on them a lot. But once I move in, I'm not going to need to rely on them as much, but I still want the relationship to be strong. Like, they're not going to want to, lose money, obviously, because they're getting like probably like $1,000 a month from my 2 units altogether.
How many rooms and what is your rate? Like, how many rooms under there?
So the house is split into 2 floors. The bottom floor is 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and the rate that I pay them is $115. And on Airbnb, I have it at I think $135, and then upstairs is 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and I charge $155 on Airbnb, and I pay them $135.
Yeah, I mean,
So they're getting like four a month on each floor, which adds up to like $1,000 a month. So
yeah, I mean, I think you got a pretty good spread on like what you're charging the guests and what you're paying your cleaners. It's like,
yeah.
who was covering the cost, and you got a little bit left over for supplies. And for me, for Airbnb, I have my cleaning fee the lowest, but on all my other platforms, on all my other on all my other platforms, I'm charging a different price for the cleaning, so I can increase that spread a little bit, because I prefer to be booked on Airbnb first. But if somebody's gonna book me on Booking.com, they pay a premium for my cleaning fee, and I have a 20% markup on those home type. I have a 20% markup, and then I think on Booking I charge $250 for my cleaning versus like $199 there.
Oh, wow. Do you feel like that? I mean, how does that impact how many bookings you get on Booking.com? Do you still get bookings there, or not as much?
Yeah, I'm still getting bookings there. I've had a couple bookings, and it's normally longer bookings of like construction crews and things of that nature, because I have a 5-bedroom home, so it's like bigger parties that are booking it for that. But I've seen quite a few bookings on there. Even with my 3-1, I get some bookings on there as well. And like I said, like, I'm kind of prioritizing Airbnb up front because it's just an easier platform. But if somebody wants to book me on there, they just have to pay a little bit of proof.
Yeah.
Can you say that again? I'm going to record it as my second testimonial. Tap in. I'm just saying, no, continue. I wanted to answer your question too, because I feel like I have kind of a slightly different take in terms of, you asked a few things, right? So like in terms of the rate, I think it's a fine line. You don't want to let them drive the rate up on you crazy, because if someone sees you're willing to pay more than likely they're going to charge you more. Over time, especially, right? I mean, I probably would. So I'm negotiating within reason, right? Because I realize, they're valuable to me, but I'm also valuable to them, right? So it's a working relationship, right? I want it to be mutually beneficial and us get to a point to where it makes sense. So you don't want to go overboard, but I think you have leverage too, right? And I think that's something to keep in mind. In terms of giving them like extra or like additional payment, I'm never giving them additional money. And I think to that point, I'm trying to negotiate the rate down, but I will give them compliments. And I've tried to be better about that now. And I say that too because I'm going to be very quick to critique. So I think one thing that I've found success in, and it's worked at least for my B&Bs, is like setting a high bar early. And I'll tell them that. And I, especially now that I know, because the first time I was like, oh my God, like, what's going on? But I realized like different hosts have different bars, right? For where they want their cleanliness to be and what they're okay with and what they'll let slide and what they won't, right? Yeah. And not everybody's perfect. And I realize that. But we want to try to be as close to that as we can within reason, right? And I'm going to call them out if I notice things that I feel like a guest would notice. Now, I'm not, up under shit, like going crazy, but if there's anything, like it could be, the AC was left on, the light was left on, is there hair in the shower? There's certain stuff, it's like, look, this is egregious. Some stuff is like, look, this is the basics. Some stuff is like, okay, this is kind of a nitpick. Yeah. Still correct this, but it's not as egregious as like I swept the floor and I see all this hair or stuff like that. So you have to be as strict on it as a guest might be. And they're not trying to see, shit. They're not trying to see anything really. Like if they see the first thing, then they're going to be on the lookout for every little thing right off. Exactly. And I realized that. So I'm on the lookout before the guest comes in, and they hate me. The first month, they're going to hate me. Right. And I tell them that, like, for real, like I tell them, look, I'm not trying to get you in trouble with Turnify, because they're the middleman. I'm not trying to, get anybody fired. I'm just trying to keep my business afloat. Oh, right. Because this is my livelihood. At the end of the day, that's a little different for me and Desmond, right? He's working through a third party. I'm working 1-to-1 with my cleaner. Like me too. And something that helps me out too that I think I forgot to mention is like I also have my cleaner clean my personal home, so like I can kind of build a relationship with them through that. Like the expectation I have for my personal home is the same that I have for my Airbnb. So once we've established that rapport and we're working well together, I think it just kind of leads into all the other business. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I brought this up because, you know, timing is everything, but I had one of my friends was in town and he has some, you know, Airbnbs and he's into real estate as well out in San Diego. And I showed him the house and the cleaner had left like a grape soda on the mantle that was hers. And he's like, "What is this?" You know what I mean? Like real judgmental. So I got pissed off. And then I texted her. I was like, you know, don't be leaving this or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, that was me." And that was all she said. And I'm just like,
I feel like it's tough. I would imagine it's tough when you're communicating directly with them because I would feel intimidated hitting them up. Like the way I'd be hitting up Turnify, they would really hate me, right? Like, but I know with Turnify, that's the middleman. So I'm okay with kind of giving it to them. And I'm like, look, you tell it to them however you see fit. But this is how I feel. Okay. So do your job, right? So I feel like it's tough because I have a relationship with my cleaners too. Miracle, as Nee probably knows, cleans 2 of my units. I have a new team for across the street, but they're great. Like they're super friendly, very nice. We have a great relationship. And I don't bring up none of the issues to them because I don't have to, because I'm telling Turnify as soon as they leave, look, this was missed, that was missed, they need to clean this, yada yada. But they understand, like, look, I mean, that's just how it's gotta be. Like, no one's perfect, but we're gonna try our best to be.
right.
And look, that's the benefit of going with a third partners because you can get that little bit of that separation. It's almost like having that management element, except for your cleaners. I'd say I've been across the board, right? When you look at all the properties that we manage, and at any given time, we have 2 or 3 crews working at the same time. So we have the Turnify on a couple, and we've got a couple that are independent. And so to your point, the first question that you said, Robbie, which was around like, hey, do you do incentives and things of that nature? We used to do that back when we first started and we were growing and we had the first like 10 to 1 independent cleaner. It was just awesome. Like, this cleaner was really good. And so what we did was we wanted to get them on our side. So we lowered the fees, right? Because we negotiate hard for that piece. When you're given multiple units, you can negotiate. And so we lowered the fees, but we aligned them to the Airbnb rankings. So we used to rank every property. And hey, if you're at a 4.8 or higher on each property, that's additional, I think it was like a $5 bonus per month or something like that. And we just look at the ranking. Like, forget all the weather ratings, that's on me, but the 4.8 for cleaning, that's on you. And so they were aligned. They were like, hey, what do we get? Da, da, da. And it kind of got everybody on the same page there. So that was one thing from a bonus structure. We moved away from that after we split it and kind of went with different cleaners because it was like, hey, one crew can't handle it. But if we were able to have one clean crew handle it, we would do that. And then talk about like, how do you discipline things of that nature? I literally don't have the bandwidth to drive around all the properties and check it out. And Desmond, soon enough, you are growing fast and you're not going to have the bandwidth to go and actually check it out. And so what we do is a 3-strike rule, right? And the strikes reset every 3 months, right? But if there's 3 egregious strikes within 3 months, I'm moving those properties away, or at least one property away, right? And I think Justin knows about one of the cleaners that we've had to move away from for a couple properties because it was like, hey, they found a shoe under the bed. Whose shoe is this? Well, why did we not sweep under the bed? Okay, there was hair over here. Okay. This person questioned whether the place was clean. Listen, you know, I told you it was going to happen. We got to move it away, and then we move it away. So that's kind of how we work it now. It's just based on guest feedback. And if we get bad feedback from guests, we take that seriously. Otherwise, we take a step back and let the cleaners do the thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Shit.
AJ, how
I'm trying to get better at that too.
you got to?
What's up, AJ? Yeah. What's up, AJ?
What's going on, y'all? I see you're talking a lot about cleaners and everything.
Yeah, man.
Trying to check in and seeing y'all different perspectives and everything. I'll say my perspective on it is this. I realize I understand how crucial a cleaner is to my business, right? Because all of this to be, being that we're all short-term rental hosts is not 100% passive. I would say it's semi-passive, but it's still passive form of income. Even though it is semi-passive. So in order for me to even have some form of passivity, my cleaner is going to have to be a solid cleaner, right? And yes, I do agree that there needs to be standards set so that they understand. However, something that, I like my cleaner to know from the jump is that, yes, I have these standards, but this is about business. And I also want you to feel a part of this business, even though I'm taking on most of the risks and things like that. But in order for her to be comfortable doing her job and do it to the best of her ability, she needs to feel like she's a family within my business, right? So that's kind of how the approach that I took it towards my cleaner. I'm glad she is an employee, but I also like to make her feel comfortable and like to have personal conversations, because things happen, right? I think recently she just had a family member that passed away. Like, she's not a robot, you know what I'm saying? So you have to take those kinds of things into consideration and realize that, we're all human first, before an employee or business or things like that. So just wanted to add that in. That's kind of my 2 cents on it. We want to make our employees or really just the people around us in our business feel comfortable so they can do the best of their abilities.
And I have that direct relationship as well with the cleaner.
Yeah. Do I have a direct relationship?
Yeah. Like as in like you don't have a third. Do you have a third party?
No, this is someone I found off. I think Turo.
Okay, and is it just one person you have?
It is one person.
Oh, and do you have a backup too, or just them?
I don't have a backup. I think I did talk about that in one of our previous podcasts. However, she hasn't made me feel like that I needed a backup.
That's good.
As a plate.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that I don't need a backup. I know I do, like I said, right? But I'm saying that she doesn't make me feel like I need a backup because, again, I think I pretty much have the most important things for a player from my perspective is, consistency. I think that's something else that reliable. Consistency and that you're reliable and that you're on time. And so far, she's shown you those things. So I'm okay. But I think you made a valid point, though, AJ. Like, a lot of us get out into this space to kind of get away from the 9 to 5 because of, for some people, how they're treated in the 9 to 5, right? So think about how you were treated in your work, your day-to-day professional, or anything you plan in life, and like you gotta always keep that in the back of your mind once you become a business owner. Even when you're working with guests, right? You're gonna have some guests that are gonna give you a hard time about everything. But how you respond can sometimes temper their response as well.
And literally, I love that, Justin. And I love just this conversation and connecting with you guys because the people in this circle get it. And those that join the call get it. This is a long-term game. You've got to build relationships. Otherwise, it won't last long in this game. And there's other people that I talk to or, there's two different types of people. There's people that are like, hey, I understand I'm going to be in this long term and we build relationships and kind of make this work. And there's other people that are like, hey, give me, what can I get now? And it's like, listen, you can't keep burning bridges with all these different contractors and those. Because at a certain point, I'm going to stop sending people to you, right? Because it's like, hey, I know it's going to get burned. I'm like, I'm good, right? And then something bad happens and you can't, So long story short, I think that's like a 1% that kind of doesn't get it. And it's like, hey, you've got to foster these relationships, whether or not you're going to work with that person or not. Keep the relationship because you never know what could happen. And to your point, AJ, yeah, you have an awesome cleaner, but definitely will get a backup. Only because I had an amazing cleaner. He was doing my personal house too, Justin. He was doing all that stuff. But then we started growing a little bit too fast. And he was working 7 days a week. And he was like, hey, man, I got it. I was like, all right, I got you. So better sooner than later to have a backup just in case.
It's 100%. I mean, she takes care of that partly. The house hack I'm in, I talked to you about it briefly, but I mean, it's such a small space. I don't mind. I like cleaning. I throw on some music and that's something I'm okay. I love cleaning my personal spaces and things like that. So, when the guest checks out of the Airbnb that I have in the lower half of my home, my house hack, I can knock it out in literally like 30, 45 minutes. So really that's nothing to me. And then on top of that, I can keep my cleaning team, right? So then I can in turn use that for other things with savings, things like that. So that's just the process of doing house hack right now.
There she goes. Alex, what is up?
Hello.
This is your first time on the Financial Freedom Mastermind podcast. And Justin, you know how we do. We're going to ask you a couple questions. If you don't mind, anytime somebody joins for the first time, we like to ask some of your goals and things of that nature. We've had the benefit of connecting with your husband, Justin. But Alex, what are some of the goals that you guys have from an investing standpoint for the future?
Yeah, I think right now we're just really so trying to learn the business as well as, trying to create some financial freedom. And that changes as we move down the road. So right now we're house hacking. And our goal is to spend as less money as possible on our mortgage each month. And eventually would like to incur more properties and set up something for our future.
Love it. And I just thought about it. How many people on this call, just raise your hand, are house hacking right now? I think we all are. And Robbie, you're sort of house hacking. You should be house hacking. I don't know. Robbie's paying rent. How many are going to get?
How do you send my house hack?
Well, I bought the house for a house hack, but I just have really liked living in my apartment where I've been. So I've just, instead of doing the house hack, I've just been, both units have just been Airbnb. My lease ends in September. So I'll be moving in at that point. It's decided at this point. So I'm just trying to figure out the best way to make it work with that transition. But either way, the purchase has been good for me. It's been making money, but it can definitely go a lot further for sure. It's just the personal sacrifices I need to make to actually move in there has been, the challenge so far. So
Hey, sometimes though, Robbie, like if you can cover the spread, sometimes it is more beneficial to, rent your properties and stay somewhere else if you can find a good deal on, whatever space you're renting.
yeah, I'm right on the belt line right now already with utilities on my rent. I'm paying like just under 2,000 a month, and I walk my dog on the belt, so it's just nice, you know what I mean? And I'm new to Georgia, so that was the first place I moved in, so there's a lot of stuff going on over there that I enjoy. But at the end of the day, I did buy the house for a house hack, and that the money would be, from a financial standpoint, it would make more sense to be in the house I bought, but it's definitely just taking me a little bit longer to make that move, since I'm still profiting at the end of the day, but it'll go a lot further once I do move in there for sure.
So we're actually very close.
I have a question. So you said, so you had the house hack, but you're also staying in an apartment. How long after you purchased that home, I don't know if it's a duplex or something, but in-laws need this house hack. How long after you purchased that did you move out? I'm just curious because typically with the bank requirements, they ask you to stay in the property for a year. I know there's loopholes and things about it, but I'm just interested in like, if you actually did, if you abide by that, or you just
Well, I mean, I have everything is set up as if it's my primary residence. So my ID has that address, my car, my title and everything is set up to that house. And, there's no law against having an apartment that you rent as well. As far as the law is concerned, anything that comes up, you can pay all the bills there. So, it's my house, but, I'm just spending my time in the condo. That's pretty much how I explain it. But when I moved here, I bought the house like a few months after I moved, and then I just like renewed the lease in the apartment I was in. So it'll be ending in September.
Robbie, that was kind of like a very sound response to what? Sorry.
Yeah, real political. Yeah.
no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not trying to interrogate you.
No, I know. Yeah.
Curious, man. What was that just?
He practiced that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nee gave me a few of those lines, so I'll credit him.
But no, see that point. I mean, literally what he said is true, and that's why you can go get a house hack, things of that nature, and you are allowed to Airbnb your unit. I think it's 180 or plus days, and things can change after you buy a house. Kind of coming back to Desmond with the whole like two house situation, things can change, right? I bought a fourplex, right? Moved into a unit. And then, lo and behold, got married a month later and was like, hey, man, we want to live in a single family. So I moved out. So things can change, right? There's ways around that piece. But the main piece is, one, you do not long-term rent that unit. Please don't do that because you will get in trouble. And then two, just wait a year, right? Wait a year to be safe and kind of go from there. And Robbie, you are past the year mark.
Yeah.
So he's good either way now. But yeah. But AJ, on a complete side note, Desmond was talking about it a little bit earlier. I know you're heavy into Turo. Have you picked up more cars? Is this something that you're going to continue to grow?
Yeah, so Desmond and I, we had a pretty solid conversation earlier. I think I posted something on like social media. So he hit me up, pretty much filled out all the questions he had to ask me. At this point in time, is doing really well. Mainly because so the start of this year, I had a guest. Literally like the beginning of January. She rented the car, and originally it was like a 2 or 3 day reservation. Fast forward to today, end of April, she is still renting the car out. So I'm fully booked. My utilization rate is 100% from January all the way to the end of April. So that's been allowing me to obviously collect that money. I have a LLC business account. I barely even look at that money. I just have it, pulling in. Originally my plan starting out for Turo was to invest in the car all cash.
and then get 100% ROI on that initial investment, and then pretty much rinse and repeat. So I'm getting really close to that point. It's been a little over a year, and now I have a couple of different options. So again, I could option A, just rinse and repeat, buy another vehicle, and then now I have two vehicles that are both out basically generating the income. Or I may be thinking of maybe just option B, I guess. Maybe exiting, but that will be again if I find something better to put my money in. So obviously, like real estate, for example, I could take that money from the Turo business and then deploy it into another property or something like that. So that's where I'm at right now. But overall, I'm really happy with how things have been turning out, especially since the beginning of this year. I mean, I haven't seen that car in a really long time. Almost forgot that I even did Turo, just how nice it's been. So
That's good. That's a great problem to have. And I have a follow-up question too, based off what we had talked about earlier surrounding the insurance piece, right? And just to give some context, so you have this car under your personal insurance, and then if there's any damage, you'll typically file that claim with Turo's insurance protection policy because it's pretty good. So what happens if the car gets totaled?
so if the car gets totaled again, so I want to be clear, the Turo is not an insurance.
Right.
They're not considered insurance. Those are correct people with that. It's what it really is a protection plan. And you have to follow their protocols in order to get reimbursed for a claim. The protocols pretty much is there's a laundry list. Not really, it's not excessively long, but the main important thing is making sure you take your pre-trip photos and your post-trip photos, right? So if I give you the keys to the car and the car is in perfect condition, it doesn't have a dent, right? And then you bring it back to me after a couple of days and it has a dent in it, so long as my pre-trip photo shows that it does not have a dent in the driver's side, and then when I bring it back, I take a photo and it has a dent, they're gonna reimburse you every single time. And then on top of that, if you build, always get confused between Airbnb and Turo because they're similar. Airbnb is it Superhost? I think it's Airbnb Superhost, and then Turo is All-Star Host status. So if you become an All-Star Host on Turo, right, they'll be way kinder to you, right? They handle claims much faster. So that's where the point where I'm at. So to go back to the original question, if it does get totaled,
Because like dent I get, dent or scratch I get,
Yeah.
but like total or like big accident.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Like, are you shit out of luck there?
they'll reimburse you up to the actual cash value of it.
They will. So they have okay.
And I'm the host personally that have done that. It has been totaled, and they'll get actual cash value.
So it's effectively insurance. I mean, they don't call it insurance, but it's effectively insurance. You file a claim and then they pay you out up to the cash value of the car.
Right. They don't want to operate.
They don't want to call it that.
They don't want to call it that because here's the thing, like with, Liberty Mutual or Progressive or whatever, Geico, things like that, you don't have to submit pre-trip photos to get a claim reimbursed back to you, right? So that's why it's a protection plan, but it's their plan, and you have to abide by their rules in order to get reimbursed, right? So if I don't take that pre-trip photo and it comes back total, you're SLF,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and I think them paying out the cash value, like you knowing that's huge. That's huge because like that, you can have it under your personal insurance and kind of be able to sleep at night because otherwise I think I'd have one eye open looking at that tractor on the car.
Yeah. And honestly, I still like the Turo thing is one I still can't get over. I hear you. I know there's money to be made here, but it's like, hey, there's a car moving X amount of miles per hour out there. It's got my name on it, and I'm not driving. I get nervous about it. I get a little bit nervous about it.
I get it. But hey, I think that's what quote did I say earlier to something. I was like, you can't strike gold if you ain't digging.
That was a good. I'm gonna write that down. Did you make that up?
It's pretty good.
No, it just came top of my mind. I think it was I think it was really because of the cycle episode. He said, he's been booked out for like 4 months, and I was honest. I said, this is definitely the exception, not the rule, right? So if you don't typically get one guest that's going to run out for 4 months, right? But in response to that, I said, hey, you can't strike gold if you ain't digging. You know what I'm saying? So what I mean by that is if you can't get the returns on your investments or get that a solid 4-month booking or whatever you're doing, Airbnb, things like that. If you're not just dipping your toe in the water, you know what I'm saying? I think that's just for that dish. Struggles.
Related follow-up. Okay, so
Yeah.
if the car got totaled, we covered that. Now, God forbid, what if somebody gets hurt? Because in that case, your insurance does have like some coverage to pay for the people in your car, right? That get hurt. Yeah, especially if they're struck. Does Turo have any protection for that? Bodily harm?
Don't quote me on, but they do have protections up to that. I don't know the exact number on the top of my head.
But they do pay out for bodily harm.
I would check the Toro document.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
I asked him earlier.
I'm not gonna say your name.
Rodney, we need a response from you, Rodney. Go ahead and hit us with hit us with
Yeah, man. I'll just say that I do like Turo a lot, and one way you can make extra money on that is if people they undervalue or they estimate how many miles they're gonna drive, because there's like an additional fee for miles over. And I had one person when he was doing it in DC, they said they were going to New York and back, but they said it was like 300 miles total, and it's like 400 miles one way. And I just told him, I was like, boy, you don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to cost you like probably thousands for as many miles as you're doing ever. I just felt bad. I couldn't do that to the man. I just felt bad for him because it wasn't supposed to be like a money making. It was supposed to just basically cover my my payment, and that was it. And this man, he was about to he just didn't understand. So I told him that, but I had other people that would pay, they'd estimate like 150 miles or whatever. And to AJ's point, you take all the pre-photos and you take the mileage so you can track it back to that. And if they go over, then, that's just, I forget how much they charge, but it's a lot that you can make.
$1 a mile or something.
Yes. Look, man, I'm past getting around this deal. This is my first flip. I the business up out in LLC. It's in the rules. It's in the listing. So if you don't read those rules and abide by those, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and give you any more hints. I told you, you know what I'm saying? So at that point, it kind of is what it is. I hate that. I don't want it to sound harsh or anything.
No, it's business. It's business.
It's business. Yeah.
fellas and lady. On that note, and we're gonna end with a quote, right? And you can't find gold if you're not digging. And if you see that on an Instagram caption, I did steal that from AJ. But guys, I appreciate you joining this week. Next week, we're actually gonna have one of my team members, Naira, joining. We're gonna talk about the market updates. We're gonna send out a newsletter. And next week, Friday, I look forward to seeing a lot of you over at the mansion. It's gonna be awesome. Ricardo's gonna be in town, and it's gonna be a pretty cool event. So looking forward to seeing you. Bring somebody with you, and I will catch you later.
Hey, man, you need the ladies touching brain on the air rolling.
Oh, no. Quickly.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your